It's March 18th right now. It's a Wednesday. It's been about 1 week since the coronavirus became pretty serious in the US. I live in New York, which I believe at this point has the most cases of coronavirus. So it's pretty tense in the city, especially in the markets, which for me, you know, I go to markets all the time, grocery stores. So I'm trying to avoid grocery stores as much as possible. Of course, all of the bread, all of the rice, the toilet paper is definitely gone. That's been gone for a while. I actually wanted to use just packaged sliced bread for today's recipe, and there's no bread left, so I am making it from scratch. But you guys know I love making bread. And for me, the reason I'm in the studio right now is because I can walk here, so I'm not gonna be in direct contact with anyone. I'm not gonna be on a subway, in a car or a cab. And also I can just lock my door. So really I can quarantine myself in the studio for work. But I have a really good feeling that this will be my last day or two in the studio, judging by the way other countries are handling the situation, and even other cities around the US like San Francisco who completely just shut down. I think New York is gonna do the same very shortly. So I'm guessing this will be my last day, but I can take my camera gear home, which I'll probably do, and I can film content from my apartment, which I've been doing for the last 7 years of my life before I moved into the studio. So there'll still be some content coming on YouTube because I think it's so important right now. I'm sure you've noticed that having a home cooking practice in a time like this, when you are quarantined, when you have to stay inside, not only do you have more time to do that, but it's also so valuable because you're making your own food for yourself and your family, the people who are close to you, and you know exactly what's going into your food, which is really important. So for me, I've been cooking a ton and really reconnecting to home cooking in the last week. So I guess that's one upside to this situation, is just home cooking. You've got time, so you might as well do it. And that's why I want to keep content coming, to keep you inspired to continue to cook during this time. So I've been planning a video with Alex over the last few weeks that's all about using your air fryer in a college or university situation where you don't have a big budget, you don't have many ingredients or supplies, and you really want to make some incredible food. And I was thinking that this video is actually coming at a really good time because I know a lot of you watching this are pro home cooks. You've got a great home cooking practice. You've been watching this channel for a while, but I'm sure a ton of you are also beginners. You're just getting into cooking, and maybe in a time like this, you don't want to order out as much food and you want to start cooking. So I've got 8 new recipes today that are all delicious and simple to make, and they all can be cooked in an air fryer. And of course, if you don't have an air fryer, you can use your oven, no problem, for all of these recipes. So I crafted all of these recipes to be very budget friendly. So you can see by these ingredients, a lot of them are just pantry essentials that you might already have in your pantry or in your fridge, which is gonna save you a trip to the market. It's gonna save you some money. And also I crafted all 8 of these recipes to reuse ingredients as much as possible. So you're gonna see a lot of these ingredients like the eggs, the cheese, the onions, some of the meat, the bread. These ingredients are gonna be popping up in multiple recipes, which is gonna save you a ton of money, and of course it's gonna save you more trips to the market. That's what we're trying to avoid here. I don't want you going to the market because your recipe says you need a certain ingredient. I want you getting crafty with the ingredients that you have, and that's really what we're gonna take advantage of today. Now I'm also gonna be limiting the kitchen gear that I use for this recipe because it doesn't take much to make really good food. So all I have is an air fryer, I have a cutting board, you can use a plastic or a wooden cutting board, a basic knife, a fork, a spatula, and a mixing bowl. And I think I can get everything done with that. Maybe something comes up in these 8 recipes that I am not taking into account right now, but you'll find out soon. One ingredient that I'm going to be using twice today is some pre-made pie crust. Of course, you can make the pie crust from scratch, but there's so much stuff that you can do with this stuff, especially in the air fryer. This thing works great for cooking pastry, and we're going to start off with some Pop-tarts, which is just a great breakfast, a great college snack, but we're making them homemade, which is so much healthier than store-bought stuff, and they're so easy to make. All I have to do is roll out my pie crust, slice them into some rectangles, and then I have some strawberry jam, but use whatever jam you want. You can spoon a little bit of that in and then add over your other rectangle and crimp the edges. And the final thing I did was mixed up some egg and some milk for a little wash to go on top of the Pop-tarts. All right, so I'm going to spray eggs down the tray just to make sure they're non-sticking. And then just a little bit of that egg and milk washi. So it's nice and golden brown. From what I remember from the apple pie we made that was similar, it used a pie crust, we cooked it at a low temp. I'm gonna do 315 for just 8 minutes. Because these air fryers, they're convection ovens, but they're condensed, so everything cooks really fast. Now in the meantime, of course, because these are Pop-tarts, I need to make an icing. So I'm just gonna do a really quick vanilla icing. I've got some confectioner's sugar or powdered sugar. I'm gonna zest a little bit of lemon in there, and then just squeeze enough lemon juice to get the perfect consistency. All right, timer's up. So those, definitely, they need to go up a little bit. Let's take them up to 350 for just, 4 minutes. 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go, much better. Wow, oh my God. I let it cool, but not enough, as you can see. Oh, damn it. Yep, needed to wait a little longer. Hot lava jelly dripping on my fingers. I mean, that's pretty damn good. Honestly, I think it'd be better if it cooled. Those ingredients just need time to like set, almost like a pie. It needs to set a little bit, but the icing's great. It's not too strong. The dough is super flaky. Super simple and delicious. Every single home cook should know how to make a really good breakfast sandwich. I learned how to make one when I was like 9 or 10 years old. It was the first thing that I learned how to cook, and I still make them all the time. But today we're gonna put an egg sandwich to the test in the air fryer to see if we can make one completely from scratch just using that machine. So this is sweet Italian sausage. It has that sweet kick, perfect for a breakfast sandwich. So we've got an English muffin here, and I told you there might just be another kitchen gadget thrown into the mix. I've got a ring mold here. So we're gonna use this ring mold to make the perfect breakfast sandwich. You can see it's just a little smaller than the English muffin, and I'm going to just pack about half of that sausage in there to get a nice circle. All right, we've got our patties in there. So I'm just going to cook these at 350 for 5 minutes. So I took that ring mold and just used a little tin foil to give it a bottom. Because now what we're gonna do is, boom, crack. Come on. Whoa, didn't even see it, but it worked out perfect. All right, now we have our egg in there. It should be sealed and it's sprayed so it's non-stick. And we're gonna throw that in once this sausage has finished par cooking. So you can see these have shrunk in size just a bit. They're not completely finished cooking, so I'm gonna take one out and replace it with this guy right here. This is where it gets a little tricky. Let's keep it at 350. Let's do 4 minutes and see what happens. So it's been 4 minutes, let's see what's going on in here. Oh wow. That's a good way to cook an egg right there. And then this thing, yep, perfectly crispy. All right, so I got the timings right. 10 minutes total. So the last thing we have to do is just melt the cheese on the English muffin. That side should toast as well. So I'm just gonna blast this thing. Let's go 380, 2 minutes. I would say that's a pretty damn good egg right there. Still runny yolk. Everything cooked through. A little egg white there, but overall, I am happy with that. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's plate this thing. I haven't had a solid fast food style breakfast sandwich in a while, so I'm excited for this. Tastes like a fast food breakfast sandwich. There's just something about that combination right there. I think it's the English muffin. Also the way the eggs cook. It's funny because I think I'm most impressed by the way it toasted the English muffin. It's perfectly crispy, but still fluffy on the inside. You've done it again, air fryer. I've been wanting to experiment with just putting in leftover fries to see what happens, and I'm sure a ton of you will have leftovers that look just like this in the upcoming months. So I want to see how we can take these to the next level, and it's going to start off by taking some bacon and just layering that into the air fryer and getting that nice and crispy. And perfect bacon in 3, 2, 1, blast off. Yes, sir. I want to try to make a quick cheese sauce. What happens if you add cheese and milk and throw that into the air fryer? 350, 3 minutes. Ooh, a little bit runny. Let's see if we can mix it. It's starting to get there. I just think I added too much milk, so I gotta add a little more cheese to this. Check this out. It's no roux, but it's a cheese sauce that will work. All right, last step. Let's get those crispy and see what happens. We'll pump that up to 370 for 5 minutes. Ooh, okay. Those are crispy to me. I really just wanted to see how an air fryer handles old soggy fries. Damn, this thing is worth buying just to reheat old nasty fries because these taste like they're straight out of the fryer. All right, so I added a little bit of water to the cheese. It looks like we're making cheddar mozzarella. The cheese sauce completely broke, which I think will be all right. I think I can actually use this for an upcoming recipe. So stay tuned on that. All right, so you get the point. The air fryer works really well with leftover fries and pretty poorly with cheese sauce in there. Originally, I was just gonna melt some cheese over, put the bacon and the scallions on there, and I'm sure it'll be delicious, but we're gonna have to recover this cheddar mozzarella, and we can definitely use the bacon and the scallions actually in the next recipe. All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take all of the ingredients from the last recipe, since I didn't really eat it, and I'm gonna turn it into a quiche using some of that pie crust. I had 2 pie crusts in this box. So first what I'm gonna do is take the tray, and I saved the bacon grease that collected on the bottom from the bacon, and I'm going to brush that onto the entire tray to make it non-stick and give the pie crust some extra flavor. Now I'm gonna take my pie crust and line the tray. 350, 3 minutes. So while that's par baking, in the meantime, remember this mixture right here? This was the milk and egg wash for our Pop-tarts. Well, that's still good to go. I'm just gonna crack a few more eggs into that and add some milk, mix that up, and then I'm gonna add in those scallions, the fries, and that will be our quiche filling. There, that's a good base cook right there. Let's go low and slow. So 330 right now, 12 minutes, and we'll start there. See that? It's a little runny. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we'll go 8 more minutes at 290. All right. That is definitely done. Whoa. Super flaky around the outside, cooked through, but take a look at this. The under crust is just not great. Now, having said that, let's give it a taste. The actual egg is super custardy, great texture. Love all the ingredients in there. Everything is great. The outside crust is amazing, but you get this weird chewiness on the bottom, which I don't love. Listen, I'm still eating it. It's still delicious. I just don't think the air fryer can really handle the full pie action. You saw it work great for the Pop-tarts when there's a lot of room to circulate through, but as far as a full pie, I don't know, maybe I'm doing something wrong. You can comment in below if you have a better idea, but it ain't doing it for me. Like I mentioned earlier, there were a few recipes that I was planning on using just some sliced sandwich bread, some plain white bread. And of course, when I went to the store, that was the first thing gone off the shelves. So I made some myself, which is really not that hard at all. So I actually followed the white bread recipe from my Ultimate Bread Baking book. So I made a dough earlier today. I let that proof for a few hours, and then I rolled it out and I put it into a Pullman baking tin, but you can just use a regular bread tin and bake that off, and I had a beautiful bread loaf. And if you want this recipe along with all of the bread recipes from the sandwich series, you can click this link right here for my Ultimate Bread Baking Handbook. It's a free PDF, but we're gonna use this to make a little bit of French toast right now. This thing is thoroughly soaked. I've got a little parchment paper. I might take the parchment paper off once it starts cooking, but we will see. Oh, there's one more thing I want to do. Remember this strawberry jam? Well, it's the only fruit I bought for these recipes. So I put it in a measuring cup, just about half a cup of it, to make a quick little sauce for the top of the French toast. Let's do 350 for 8 minutes to start. It's been about 6 minutes. I'm gonna give it a check. Ooh, okay. Interesting. It's like crispy. So they're not cooking on the underside, probably because of the parchment paper. So I'm gonna spray this to make it non-stick. Then I'm gonna remove those and cook them on the other side. Back in, let's go. 5 minutes. Right, just about done. Oh wow. First of all, look at that little jelly sauce. I've got very high hopes for this. Just the crispiness when cutting through it. You know, it reminds me of a French toast stick. Maybe some of you have never had one of those, but it's like a frozen French toast in stick form. And it just has a little drier consistency, almost like crispier. So overall, I'm into it. I really like it, but not the same consistency as cooking a French toast in butter on the skillet. Just has a little more of a dry, crispier texture. I want to take a minute to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, NordVPN, who's offering you guys 70% off plus an extra month free when you go to nordvpn.com/prohomecooks or you use the code word ProHomeCooks. Now, maybe you've heard of a VPN or maybe you haven't. For me, I always thought it was just a way to protect your IP address to kind of keep you a little more under the radar when you're using the internet, but it actually does a lot more than that. So NordVPN lets you take control of your internet by being an intermediary when you connect, which means when you use NordVPN through the app or NordVPN's Chrome extension, you connect to any one of Nord's thousands of servers. And when you do that, your important information that you want to protect, like credit card information, passwords, IP addresses, and even the sites you're looking at, they're completely encrypted, leaving you untraceable, which is great for someone like me who runs their entire business on the internet. So using a VPN is basically just a layer of security that I count on to protect my internet business. And not to mention, in a time like this when everyone is quarantined, we're working from home, we're using the internet to basically order everything, it's important to protect all of that information, and a VPN is gonna provide you with that security that you need to feel safe when you're using the internet. But one of my favorite aspects of NordVPN that most people don't really talk about, but I take advantage of all the time, is the ability to view the internet from a different place in the world. So I thought it'd be a fun challenge to pick a random country, log into that server, and then check the YouTube trending page, and then try to make the first thing that I see trending, food-wise, that I can potentially recreate in the air fryer with the ingredients that I have. That's the challenge right now. So let's log into, let's do South Korea. They've got cool food trends. Okay. All right, first food. Oh my God. Oh my God. Another air fryer video. I'm not kidding. I did not plan this. Another air fryer video. Okay. All right, so he's got like some Korean little dim sum things, some meatballs. He's doing some chicken wings. Done that. All right. I don't know what any of these things are, so I guess we'll have to move on. That's a bummer. All right, more food. Ooh, maybe this. All right, an apple. I brought an apple to work today. This might be an apple pie, which I've done before. Adding sugar. Wait a minute, what was that? Wait a minute. Oh my God. I think we're onto something. I thought they were gonna use pie crust and make some type of apple pie, but they're using bread. Which of course, I have floppy bread that looks just like that, and I have an apple. So basically they made apple pie, but instead of pie crust, they used bread, which is actually fascinating. I think that could be really good in the air fryer. What is going on here? Now they're just being assholes. I thought they were at least gonna bake this thing. Oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever seen. This is perfect. Hold on one second. Yes, I have 2 apples and I have bread. So I'm gonna make an apple pie mixture really quickly. I'm gonna use the same apple pie mixture I used in the first air fryer video. And then let's see what happens when you roll out some bread and make a pie with white bread rather than pie crust. And shebang, there you go. All right, well that wasn't nearly as easy as a pie dough to roll out, but it looks all right. It has a natural crack there, which I actually think is kind of cool. We're just gonna use some of this leftover French toast mixture to give it a little brushy. We've got a little bit of coconut sugar. In you go. 3:30, 9 minutes. All right. All right, I let this thing cool down. Not the most beautiful thing I've made in the air fryer, but I'm not gonna judge it till I taste it. Basically, we're putting pie crust up against bread crust. You know, it's holding up great. It really is. More crusty than a pie. I mean, listen, if you don't have pie crust, this is delicious. I'm eating this whole thing right now. And it's tasty, but it's not pie crust. It's not flaky, it's just crunchy. But I'm glad I tried it. And remember, if you want to protect yourself when you're using the internet and you want to mess around and log into other countries and see the trends going on around the world, make sure you click this link below, nordvpn.com/prohomecooks for 70% off a 3-year plan, plus an extra month for free. Similar to a French toast, which is cooked in a skillet with some butter, I want to try making a grilled cheese in the air fryer, but I also want to try caramelizing onions because I like caramelized onions on my grilled cheese. So let's work on the onions first. So what I did was I took an onion, I sliced it up nice and thin, sprayed down my air fryer with some canola oil, but you can also just drizzle some oil in there, and then sprayed some more oil on the top so they're nice and lubricated, and added some salt. So here you go, got my onions. We're gonna throw this in the air fryer. Now, to caramelize onions, you gotta go low and slow. Let's do 260 and we'll start it off at 15 minutes and see what happens. So check this out. Remember that sort of mozzarella cheese we made? Well, I put it in the fridge and it hardened. So I'll probably just take some of this, it's just milk and cheese, and I'll cut it up for the grilled cheese. More of a fried onion, which makes obvious sense. I don't know what I was thinking. Wow. We'll put these directly. This basically just made a spreadable cheese, which is interesting. So I sprayed the one side, put it down, spraying that side. And obviously you can just use butter, but I didn't have it on my ingredient list. Let's do 350 for 8 minutes. All right, we're buzzing here. Ooh, okay. Looks like I got the time right on that. Perfectly golden brown. Of course, a little less on the other side. Wah, wah. We've got crispy on the outside, super gooey. Now, I don't know if it was that weird mozzarella cheddar cheese we made, but that might be the gooeyest grilled cheese that I've made to date. I mean, we're in some new dimensions of cooking that I was not expecting when I started this video. Okay, very similar to the French toast. It's a drier, crispier product, which I don't mind, but it does not taste exactly like that gooey, fluffy grilled cheese that you're used to, but it's really good. The cheese product came out great, and I love those onions. Not that it needs any more crispiness because the bread toasted extremely well in this, but the onions are amazing. I don't mind them at all compared to a normal, softer caramelized onion. So I really wanted to make some dumplings in the air fryer using the sausage I had for the breakfast sandwich, but Alex is the one who lives near Chinatown and she was gonna pick up the dumpling wrappers, so I don't have those, but I figured that I could use these mushrooms and use the same type of filling and stuff these mushrooms. I had these in my fridge, so let's try to do some stuffed mushrooms in the air fryer. All right, the first thing I'm gonna do is take this end piece of bread, throw it in there, and just cook that 360 for 8 minutes. And we're gonna dry it out to make some breadcrumbs. simple to make. These are looking good. Nice little appetizer. We're gonna load them into the air fryer. All right, perfect. So, boom, 375 for 10 minutes. See you soon. All right, let's see what we got. Whoa, 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 whoa. Those things are definitely done. That's actually a lot better than I expected. The mushroom looked a little dry, and it's not dry at all, so I think that temperature works really well. Everything is perfectly cooked. It's creamy, but then there's that crunch of the breadcrumbs. I like these. I really like these. That's a quick little snack, a little appetizer, and you can mess with those ingredients. I was just throwing stuff together, so a lot of options here. That was wacky, but I liked it. I find that when I restrict myself in the kitchen, it leads to just more innovation, more creativity when it comes to cooking. So this might be my last video in this studio for a little bit, but I'll be continuing making content. I can bring my production stuff to my place, which is not that far away from here, but everything is up in the air at this point. And remember, if you do have more time at home, this is such a great chance to get in the kitchen and work on your cooking skills. I've already been connecting so much more with my home cooking in this quarantine so far, so I can only imagine what's gonna come in the next few weeks, the next few months, who knows, but stay safe and we should be chatting soon. More inspiring food content coming your way.